Hi, my name is Nick. Welcome to the second lesson in the Elin video course. I'm going to be your guide on this journey. Very happy to see that you're here. And let's get started. The topic of the second lesson of our course over here is statuses. So we have our vacation plan over here that we've sort of launched in the previous lesson when we're talking about the composition method. We explained it quite thoroughly, and what we're going to do today is we're going to explore another feature of our friend here. Yeah, that's how I think about Elin at this point in my life. So let's take a quick look at what we have here. So what are statuses, right? So every task has a point in the journey between the beginning and the end at which it's at. And that's why we have statuses. We're going to mark the position of each and every single one of our tasks so we know where we are in the process of getting to the end of our project. Okay. So we have our task list here, and I'm just going to do something like this. And I'm going to write something like task 1, okay? So this is what we have, okay? And I'm going to right click here. We have this option here, change status to, okay? And if you take a look, you can see that there's this kind of sub menu with multiple statuses over here. We have note, open, in work, done, closed, on hold, rejected, and delete. These are 8 elementary statuses that are part of Elin. And what we're going to do in this video lesson is we're going to explain the meaning of every single one of them. And I think it's pretty safe to say that once you learn this, and then combined with the knowledge you got from the previous lesson in the composition, you'll be safe to say that you really are ready to start using Elin efficiently. So let's get started. Okay, so currently we have task 1 here, and it doesn't look special really. There's this yellow line here that obviously means that I selected it, but we have a list that we're going to explain here, and right now all of our tasks are in the state of being opened. If you take a close look here, you're going to see a sort of shortcut guideline, that we have here for every single one of those statuses. So trust me when I tell you, if you're still early in your journey, start using these hotkeys right now. This is going to be life-changing in terms of the speed at which you're using the software. That's why it's essential to start using them early in your journey, but whatever works for you. So if I click open, you're going to notice that nothing's going to change, okay? That's why this status is the default status. But then we have the other statuses, and well, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the top. Each status presents a sort of state of a task. And if I add the node status to this task here, you're going to see changes its color to blue. So what the node status does is essentially it really just creates a function of a note, right? If you'd like to write down something, if you'd like to just add a reminder, to add some sort of things that don't have to be considered tasks necessarily, okay? So it's a very useful tool and likely the most similar tool to a regular notepad function, okay? That's what it's for. And for example, let's actually get to working with our with our real task list over here so we can explain everything, okay? So let's say we're looking for the perfect place for the vacation, okay? I can take this task. And so right now, I'm going to create a subtask, which we explained in the previous lesson. And you know, when I was walking in the street today, for example, I had an idea of what I'd like my vacation to look like in one aspect. And let's say this aspect is um, I'd like it to be a tropical place um, with a dry dry climate. Okay. Actually, that's impossible. What am I talking about? So let's say I'd like it to be a warm place with a dry climate. Okay, so this is just a note that I have here. Okay, and I'm going to change the status to note, and this is going to serve as a reminder. Okay, it's not a task, it's just a note that I added for myself here, and I'm just going to put it here. So when I kind of unfold the first task, I have a reminder here for myself that I'd like it to be a warm place with a dry climate. Okay, so this task of finding the perfect place is going to flow much smoother now that I have this note to sort of remind me of what I want. Okay, if you're sharing the documents with somebody, you can just leave comments with this particular function for them somewhere, and you can choose where you want to do it under any task, so you can just really play around with it. Okay, so we have our note here. I'll just save it, and it'll be there waiting for me to proceed with the task itself. So the next thing that we have is the in work status, and you can guess the meaning of this. I'm just gonna um, do it right now. Okay, so let's say that I'm finding the perfect date for the vacation. Okay, so I'm gonna add a subtask, and then the first subtask is find the most comfortable time of the year to go on vacation. And then I'm gonna add another subtask to this: explore destinations climate through the year. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do something like get the vacation leave at work next week. Okay, and so let's say that this is what I'm going to be doing right now. Okay, I'm going to explore the destination's climate through the year. So for this, I will of course need to know the destination. Let's explain the meaning. I'm going to change the status to in work, and voila, this is what happens. And no, this is not a bug. What you see here is a logical set of consequences that we got to by making a subtask be at work. If it's a subtask that's at work, logically, the head task, has to be at work too, because this subtask here stems from this task. And so, quite normally, if this task is at work, then the task that particular line comes from also has to be at work. Okay, so this is just how it functions. Okay, and so essentially, the meaning of at work status is that we are actively working on something. Okay, right now we're just explaining this regardless of the fact that we haven't picked a place. It doesn't matter at all. Absolutely. What we're doing here is we're putting the status of this particular line in activity. It means that we're working on it. Okay, so when there's a sort of line with bold letters, it means that we are working on something, okay? And it's in the process of getting accomplished. And then I can change the status of this to open, and you're gonna notice that these two aren't changing, right? And why would they? They don't depend on the subtask. The subtask depends on them. That's how it works. Okay. So I'm going to change the status of this to open, and look what happens. Not all of subtasks have the applicable status. Apply this status to all subtasks. I'm going to go like okay, and then this task is going to be open as well, again, logically. Then we have the done status. Let's see what happens. So, I'm going to write down a list of things to do on my vacation. Okay. So I'm going to say something like go to a concert, and then I'm going to write something like do some extreme sport, and I'm going to do something like visit the most famous landmarks. Okay. And then I'm going to say something like make a photo gallery of 100, with at least 100 photos. Okay, so these are 4 things, and I'm going to say something like try at least 1 native dish. Okay, so we have 5 tasks here that I'd like to do. Okay, and so while I was writing this was a work, right? Because I was working on that task. Okay, so there are 2 options here. I can leave this to be a work if I want to add more activities to the list, or if I consider these 5 tasks, these 5 activities to be all I want to do, then this task is fundamentally done. So I can do this here to subtasks, but I want to demonstrate how the system of tasks and subtasks works. So I'll just click done here and look at what's going to happen. Apply the status to all subtasks. Yes, that's right. And here we have it. So since I don't have to treat these things like a task, maybe like a note, let's see what happens if I change their status to a note. Aha, they're not crossed out anymore. And this is, again, the functionality of a note under a subtask. Okay, so they remain notes. And so anyway, let's get back to our done status. If I click done, it just gets crossed out. Okay, it means that the task seems to be fully completed, but maybe needs to be reviewed. Maybe we want to get back to it. We want to look at it again, so we just keep it there. Okay, so this is the function that we use to mark a status that's close to being completed. That's what I'm going to label it. And you'll see why not completely done. Well, we'll see this. And we're going to explain this immediately. In fact, I'm going to get to the next status, which is closed. And you're going to notice that this time it doesn't get bolded. Okay, so that's the difference between closed and done tasks. Done, stay bolded. And it means that there's still a work. Because this is what a status at work looks like. Okay. So it's bold, and then I'm going to get it back to open. And then this one is closed, right? It's not bold. It's not a work. We're not going to get back to it. Maybe the project manager confirmed the task is completed, like done. We can close it. We don't have to get back to it. Okay. So this status serves only when something is completely finished with. Okay, when we're done with something for good, we close it. And that's why I can say something like, well, you know what, that's it. I'm completely sure that this list of things is all I want to do. I'm not going to change it at all, and I can just close it. And that's it. I can just get back here to maybe take a look at the list, but the task itself of writing down the list of things is done. I don't need to get back to it anymore. It's closed. Okay. And so here we have finding a location not more than 3 kilometers away from the city center. Okay. Okay, I'm going to research the city and choose the best area. We have the next status here. It's the on hold status. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. If I click on hold, you're going to see that the letters become grayish, right? Similar to this. I'd say it's even the same, actually. Let me see. Yeah, okay, it's not the same, but it's grayish. So, as you can guess, on hold is a status that we use to express that a certain task has to be postponed until further notice. It can be for whatever reason, okay? For example, we're finding the perfect place for the vacation. We have this task here. Okay, that's one task. And in order for us to find a perfect place, well, okay, it's our first task here, but let's say we have to find a perfect date. For this, we have to find the most comfortable time of the year. We have to explore the destination's climate, and we have to get the vacation leave at work. Okay. So before I do this, I can't really solve the accommodation question. Why? Because first of all, I need to know where I'm going and when I'm going. So essentially, it's perfectly fine to change the status of this bunch of tasks here to on hold. Why? It's very simple. I can't get to this task until I find where I want to go and when I want to go. Because only then I can think about the accommodation, right? So on hold, you see it also grays them out, but it's a more I think it's a brighter shade of gray in comparison with close, but never mind, doesn't matter. You can see what happens. Grays them out, and this is essentially what on hold means. Something can't be done until a certain point in the future. We're postponing the task. We're just leaving it here. Okay. So now you understand what the on hold status does. Okay. And so I'm just going to leave this here. I'm going to leave this here too because, well, that's it. That's my list. But in fact, I might want to change something in the future. So I'll just bring it back to done. Okay. Because it might be changed. And this should also be on hold. So I'll just put it on hold, right? Because I can't think about the tickets and the accommodation before I find the time and place. And then we have the rejected task status. And as you can tell, rejected is something, well, it doesn't sound great, right? A rejected task is a task that for some reason doesn't fit into the system anymore. We are completely forgetting about it and we're not gonna be doing it for whatever reason. Okay. So let's see here. For example, find a perfect place for the vacation. Let's say that I'm finding the perfect date and I have to get the vacation leave at work next week. Okay, so I'll add a task. Let's say I called my manager and he told me that he is on his own vacation until 2 weeks from now. Okay, and so essentially what I can do here is I can change the status of this particular task to rejected, right? Okay, and this also gets to be rejected as well. So it's really essentially impossible to do this next week. I can change it, I can put it on hold, but this is for the sake of explaining the status. Okay, so I can create a new status here. And it's going to be something like, I don't know, talk to the manager 2 weeks from now. Let's say it's, I don't know, the 5th of November. So I'm just going to put it like this. And have this here as a result of the rejected task above. Okay, so rejected tasks are just tasks that are obsolete in their nature for some reason. It doesn't matter why, okay? But they're no longer serving a purpose here, and they just became like this in the middle before we could accomplish them, okay? And finally, we have the delete option, and this is when we want to remove something from the document. Okay, so I'm just going to open this like this. I'm going to open this like this. I'll just leave them there, okay, because I'll need them for explaining the statuses further, and this is what happens. It's deleted from the document. If you make a mistake, this is the function that you want to use. But generally speaking, it's really best practice to keep as many things in the document as possible in terms of keeping track of your progress, knowing where you are, and so on. And so there we go, guys. Now you understand the idea behind the 8 statuses that we have here. Really, it would be awesome if you just learned how to use them with the hotkeys, and if you learned their meaning by default. And I promise you, this is something that's going to happen. The more you use Elin, you'll just start noticing how using these statuses is going to become natural to you. Okay. And yeah, that should be it. Thank you very much for being with me during this video. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.